Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Loudguns and today we're going to carry on looking at IAE. It's day 2, so we're on to RSI. So the irony is I started doing this series as a chance for people who couldn't make it to the expo to take a look around the show floor quickly with me. But today is the day that my computer decided that it couldn't handle 2 show floors being open. So due to a lack of RAM, I didn't actually make it around myself. So big thank you first and foremost to Baked Panda, who was my cameraman for the day, and all the other guys who have sent me footage and will hopefully continue to help me out through IAE week by providing some of the footage that my computer's unfortunately unable to get. But this is just further proof to me that Star Citizen is a game best enjoyed with friends. So if you're looking for people to hang out with in the verse, please feel free to come and check out our Discord. A link to that's just in the video description down below. Also, if you're a new player considering getting involved in Star Citizen, just bear in mind there's a free fly on at the moment, so you can test whether your system is up to the requirements. But assuming you do find it enjoyable and want to buy a game package, just make sure when you create that account for the free fly that you use a referral code. If you're looking for one, I've put a bunch from the people in our community down in the video description, so if you just pick one of those at random, that will get you some extra starting cash, and at the time of recording, a free Argo MPUV. So just before we get onto the show floor itself, I did want to point out something I missed yesterday, and that's when you come to this lobby area, just make sure before you hit the elevators to go and check out the show floors themselves. Off to the left and right you'll find 2 shops which include all the manufacturer merchandise, so you can buy t-shirts and baseball caps and stuff for your character. So Roberts Space Industries is our manufacturer of the day today. So when we come to the main hall, we're greeted by all 4 of the Constellation lineup. Now that the Taurus is in game as of the last patch, it means that the Connies are filled out as such. Well, until we get another one, that is. Interestingly, I was talking to a mate of mine, Star Destroyer, last night, and he was pointing out that the ship ID numbers, which usually go in sequential order based on a series of ships, there are actually some gaps, sort of once the constellations finish, before you move on to the next sort of chassis or hull of ship. So there's a potential that we might get a few more Connies in the future, which really wouldn't surprise me considering it's one of Chris's favourite ships and, you know, it's got his name on it. And just bear in mind that all of the ships are available to rent for free at IAE. You just have to go up to the ship on the show floor, hold down F, and you'll get an option to rent for 0 credits. That will rent to you for 48 hours. So we were thinking earlier today, sort of if you're starting out with maybe a starter ship, that sort of thing, then actually renting something like a Constellation Andromeda is a really good way to get started in bounty hunting. And if you're looking to see the verse in style, then the Constellation Phoenix is probably one of my favourite luxury ships until you get to the 890 jump. And as we head downstairs, today we've got a couple of RSI's ground vehicles, the Ursa Rovers, on display. And you know, if you fancy it, just rent out a Constellation Aquila, the exploration variant of the Connie series. You'll be able to stick one of these into the cargo hold there and drive it out to one of the moons. You know, it's really fun to just get one of these as a moon buggy and just try out what could be a little exploration gameplay. The holo viewers are where CIG show off some of the ships which are still in concept. So the first one we've got here is the RSI Polaris. This is basically a small capital torpedo focused ship. So it's basically a larger capital ship killer. Definitely going to be one to watch for the future, because I think when this is out in game, I think it's going to be sort of a perfect flagship for a small to medium size org. The RSI Perseus is a heavy gunboat. So it's got 2 turrets with 2 size 7 guns on each, so it's basically 4 Ares strapped together. And I think this is going to be a really cool ship, sort of in the same vein as the Redeemer, for a group of 4 mates to crew up together. And finally, for the hollow viewer rooms, we've got the RSI Scorpio. So this is a 2-person fighter with a pilot and a turret gunner, each controlling 4 size 3 weapons. And the turret's got a really funky design where it's basically on a rail, so it can flip between facing forwards and backwards to keep people off your tail. The Scorpio is also today's Warbond upgrade special. So if you've got any questions about sort of Warbond or any of that stuff, I highly recommend watching the video from Star Jump Station that I'll put a link to in the video description down below. Effectively, Starlet and Execute can explain everything about Warbonds, CCUs, etc, far better than I ever could, so I'll happily leave it to them. But the room full of Hornets from yesterday is now the room of Auroras. And I really think sort of the Auroras is a timely reminder after pointing out that you can buy a $220 ship for $215. It's worth just flicking back to the fact that Star Citizen is perfectly enjoyable with just a base package, and starting with something like an RSI Aurora. But the ship which is going to grab quite a lot of attention, I think, is actually the one in the middle, the RSI Mantis. And with the Mantis on the show floor and available to rent for free for the next 48 hours, it might not be the safest time to go out and start hitting up the Quantanium in your mining vehicle. This is a quantum interdiction ship, so I'd imagine quite a few people will be renting one of these out to see if they can try and snare anybody out of quantum, which might not be so fun if you're heading back to the refinery. So each day I'm going to take a little bit of a closer look at one of that manufacturer's ships, and it could be concept, it could be flyable. But today I'm going to pick the RSI Orion because alongside the Banu Merchantman I can't work out which one is my favourite ship of all the ships in Star Citizen. So the Orion is the ultimate capital mining ship. It's basically a giant space-bound beast that can't make its way down to planet surfaces, but instead it's just designed to strip mine asteroid belts. It's got a tractor beam array to help pull asteroids towards it, because I'd imagine at the size of this thing it's going to take some manoeuvring and probably won't be able to go and directly point itself at every asteroid it wants to eat. But it's got a huge set of jaws at the front for basically sort of pulling asteroids into and chewing them up, as well as sort of a laser cutting arm and some drones sort of alongside it. So it'll be fantastic to see how the mining gameplay loop will expand to include this sort of size of ship. Sort of it's hard to imagine when we've got things like the Mole at the moment as the largest miner, but this is basically 2 size classes above that. And it's the sort of thing I can imagine as well, sort of a crew is going to have to be out on this for days, if not sort of weeks at a time in deep space to fill the capacity. That's currently listed as 16,288 SCU on the RSI site, although obviously all of this is massively subject to change because we haven't got a fuller idea of this ship yet. But I've just put it into Starship 42 just to give an idea of it against some ships that you might have flown in game. So over on the right we've got an Aurora if you're in your starter ship at the moment, but a lot of people will have flown around in a Cutlass Black or even a Carrack. And if you think about it, the Carrack, which is right next to the Orion there, is one of the largest ships available in game at the moment, and it barely covers the front portion of the Orion, so I'm really looking forward to this one. So I hope this was useful. If particularly like me you didn't manage to make it to day 2 of IAE and see what Robert Space Industries had to offer, I think I might have to ask Santa for some more RAM and maybe a new graphics card. But if it was useful for you, then consider hitting like on the video, maybe drop me a comment just to say which ships you particularly enjoyed, maybe what you're looking forward to renting. And if you think I've earned it, then consider hitting subscribe to keep up with the channel. And with all that said, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.